As I mentioned in previous videos, when I take out algae from my small aquarium, I usually let it soak here in the bigger aquarium for the bigger fish to eat from a little bit, so they love eating from this hair algae. And only a few hours later I take this algae out of the aquarium and I put it on top of my perlon on the rise pump filter that's above the aquarium. But this is not what I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to talk about my fish pump. Okay, I have this fry pump in my aquarium, which I wanted to mention. Since both these aquariums for the past couple of years are using the communicating vessels principle, so that the small aquarium is benefiting from the biocycle of the larger aquarium, I'm using two pipes, one connected to an electric pump to pull water out of the small aquarium into the larger one, and another one that's just using communicating vessels principle, this thicker tube that's 18 to 23 millimeters thick. 23 is the outer diameter, which is pulling water back into the small aquarium. The reason the flow is going in this direction, meaning that I chose to pull electrically out from the smaller one to the bigger one and push back using communicating vessels, is that it's the safer way. I could do it the other way around, but the important thing here is that when you have failures, you don't want a catastrophe. Let's say I would push water electrically out from this aquarium into the smaller one. If ever I would have a failure in this return pipe, if I was pushing water electrically into this one, theoretically I could take, like, out of the 300 liters here, I could take 100 liters out, overflowing this aquarium and flooding my house. Now, it cannot happen the other way around. When I'm pulling water electrically into this direction, if something goes bad, if the return pipe here is completely clogged or gets air into it and stops functioning, the worst that can happen is that I will take out of this 30-liter aquarium that now has about 20 liters in it, I could probably pull out 10 liters away before the Hylea pump gets air into it and stops working. So this one will just see a 1 or 2 centimeters rise of water here, but the house won't be flooded by this. So nothing bad can happen in this setup. It's pretty safe. Up until about a year ago, I was using this setup, but the thick pipe was much shorter, and at the ending of it here it had a filter. But right now what you see is that there's actually nothing protecting this pipe, and this is what I wanted to talk about today. Up until about a year ago, I was cleaning this large aquarium using a siphon, the usual way everybody sucks water out of their aquarium. And I stopped using siphons for two reasons. One is that I'm using a dripping system that you can read all about in different YouTubes and forums. And the other one is that since I have a natural fry occurring in this aquarium, and this one is a big one, but there are many small fish that are born in this aquarium. Probably you won't see them in this video. But anyway, what I found out is when I'm siphoning water from this aquarium, each time into the bucket, to a 20-liter bucket, I would catch a lot of fry in the bucket, and it would take a huge amount of time to fish, to spot the little fry in the bucket of 20 liters and fish them back into the aquarium. So siphoning water out of this type of an aquarium that has fry in it is not a very efficient process. Okay, since the filtration does the cleaning, the mechanical cleaning, I don't really need to clean the bottom of this aquarium. It doesn't bother me too much. The biocycle is okay. So I stopped siphoning. What I then found out, almost by accident, is that the best way to fish the fry out of this aquarium is not by using a net. Previously I was using this small net and I was spending half an hour every couple of days to fish the small fry from the aquarium. And then I found out that if I take out the filter of this hose here, I could just use it to pump the fry out of the large aquarium and into the smaller aquarium. And this was also a lengthy process until I figured out that the best way would just be to put this long hose up onto the bottom of this aquarium, and then 24 hours, 7 days a week, this little pipe or thick pipe is actually pulling out snails and small fry, draining them into the smaller aquarium. Okay, there is no filter on either end of the thick pipe, so this is a natural fish pump or fry pump for me. It's serving the small fry, pumping them away from this bigger aquarium into the fry aquarium where they can grow up safely, because here the fry is in danger. Okay, there are many big fish that can eat the fry, even though there is Java moss algae which protects them. It's better for them to grow in the smaller aquarium. So this is my fish pump, which I'm very proud of, because it's really efficient, working perfectly. Every once in a while you happen to see a fish here that's being drained, and it's fun to see. Sometimes this pulls larger fish, like this one could also accidentally swim here into the flow. Usually these fish will not get sucked in because they are stronger and they don't get sucked in. Okay, the idea is that this pulls the tiny fish that cannot swim against the flow. The bigger fish are not budged by the flow that's here. Only some snails and the fry. You can see nothing happens most of the time. You can see this fish is not bothered by the flow, and I assure you there is flow here. But this kind of a tiny fish, now you don't see it anymore, it would definitely get sucked in sometime in the next 24 hours if it happens to pass around this pipe. That's it. It's a very efficient way to manage the fry on the large aquarium, and it's also taking part of the biocycles between the two aquarium, and it's just easy to maintain, very low maintenance solution for fry.